Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. Today we'll be evaluating the new de Havilland Tiger Moth created for Microsoft Flight Simulator by Anthony Lynch. A classic British aircraft, the Tiger Moth first flew in 1931 and quickly became a commercially successful aircraft. We'll take a short flight from Andrewsfield, situated in rural Essex, UK. This Tiger Moth was a popular add-on for FSX, so let's see how Anthony's Microsoft Flight Simulator version measures up. There are 3 ways pilots can get the engine started. They can use the in-game interactive checklists, the in-cockpit tablet, or via keybinds to those same functions. Today, we're using the keybinds for a little more of a realistic scenario, since we'll be operating as solo crew. So, to get started we have to remove the right side engine cover to get access to the carburetor primer function. Sometimes we can use the mouse on a click spot here, but it's not always working on the 70-year-old plane, so today I'm using Control-Shift and the P key to prime the carburetor. Now we'll need to induce fuel into the engine's cylinders. First, make sure the magneto switches are off and the wheel chocks are in place. Then pull the propeller clockwise 4 or 5 times. Okay, now we're ready to start up. The throttle has to be set about 1/4 open, mixture lever completely fully back in the mixture-rich position, and of course make sure the fuel valves are open. That's the red lever in the fully forward position. Now magnetos to on and we'll pull the propeller to fire up. We can reduce the power quickly by reaching into the front cockpit and pulling the throttle lever back slightly. Now let's remove the chocks and go flying. Flying solo in the Tiger Moth is always from the rear cockpit, while passengers or student pilots fly from the front. When the engine is running smoothly and the oil pressure has settled, run the engine at 900 to 1000 revolutions per minute for at least 4 minutes. Now let's run the before taxi checklist. Trimming control of fully tail heavy. Slacken friction nut on throttle. Check mixture full rich. Set altimeter and check the airspeed indicator is indicating normal for zero airflow on the ground. The altimeter is indicating the aircraft's height above sea level, 320 feet. If we zero the dial, then when we get airborne, the altimeter will give us our height above the ground. Check instruments for serviceability and lock compass grid ring. Check oil pressure normal at 35 pounds per square inch at 1000 revolutions per minute. Check slot lever and lock slots. See that both sets of magneto switches are in the on position, i.e. both up. Check fuel gauge and fuel level. Test the flying controls for full and free movement and in the correct sense. Now the engine is ready to be run up and tested after 4 minutes and when oil pressure is registering 35 pounds per square inch minimum. Hold stick right back to prevent prop wash lifting the tail. Open throttle to 1,600 revolutions per minute and test magnetos independently. The drop in RPM must not exceed 100. Open throttle fully. RPM should be 1825 minimum. Normal 2,100 revolutions per minute. Oil pressure 40 to 45 pounds per square inch. If the oil pressure is too high or too low, the engine will probably quit on us at some point in the flight. So, we'll need to shut it down immediately and call maintenance. Now throttle back to 550 to 600 revolutions per minute and check slow running. Okay, it's all looking pretty good here in the cockpit, so now we're ready to taxi to the runway. Since forward visibility is limited, we'll take some S-turns and hope that we don't collide with anything. Now we'll have to wait a few moments to allow some aircraft to land. After that, we can line up and take off. The engine should be cleared by opening the throttle to 900 revolutions per minute, test magnetos independently, and check oil pressure 35 pounds per square inch. Flying controls should be tested for freedom of movement. When headed into wind, taxi forward with the rudder bar central to straighten the tail skid. Full throttle is to be used for takeoff, and the initial climbing speed is 60 knots. Maintain until engine is throttled back to climbing power, 2,050 revolutions per minute at 200 to 300 feet, after which the climbing speed of 58 knots is to be assumed. With zero wind today, takeoff should be pretty smooth. Okay, that was a pretty nice takeoff. Now we'll take on some gentle maneuvers and see how the aerodynamics measure up on this Tiger Moth. Here we're seeing how well the aircraft trims for level flight. This is a notoriously tricky task with MSFS models, but this holds up very well, the best I've seen for quite a while. Cruise RPM is about 2050, giving an airspeed of 75 knots. The ultimate test for any aerodynamic modeling is how the aircraft responds to a stall and spin test. The Tiger Moth is said to have a gentle stall characteristic, but the spin can be quite an exciting exercise. So, let's go ahead and carry out those tests. Stall practice should be at around 3,000 feet, and before commencing the exercise, it's always a good idea to make sure all items in the cockpit are secure. Mixture fully rich and make a good lookout. Okay, throttle back and we can expect the aircraft to stall at around 40 knots. A wing drops as that wing stalls first and a loss of 300 feet before recovery. So, I'd say that's pretty accurate as a typical stalling characteristic. Okay, now we'll go for the spin. Again, we need to make sure any loose items are secure, mixture fully rich, and make a good lookout. So, to induce the spin, we'll throttle back into the stall, full up elevator and full right or left rudder. To recover, apply full opposite rudder, and then slowly center the stick. Centralize the rudder as soon as the spinning has stopped, and recovered from the ensuing dive. Okay guys, after these tests, I'd say the aerodynamics on this Tiger Moth are modeled excellently. The spin is an actual spin as opposed to a spiral dive, so, a very well done to this developer. Now we'll join the circuit at Andrews Field for a full stop landing. There is some other traffic in the pattern, so we'll need to keep a good lookout. Very good ground effect modeling, making landings feel quite realistic. On a crosswind day, landing the Tiger Moth could prove very tricky. Since today is a no-wind day, then landing is pretty smooth. Always try to land on grass, since the friction is needed to help slow the plane down. After the war, many Tiger Moths went into private ownership, and became a popular training aircraft with flight clubs. Even today there are still around 650 airworthy Tiger Moths, and it is arguably the most famous biplane ever built. So guys, this Tiger Moth is a very well made model. The flight dynamics feel excellently coded, responding to pilot inputs as expected. Texturing throughout the model is very good, adding to the vintage feel of a classic airplane. The engine sounds are excellent, with the Gypsy Major being well depicted, along with propeller animation being very well synchronized, especially at startup and during low power. Users will need to adhere to engine operating limits or be faced with reduced performance, as would be the case in the real world. Note that while the Tiger Moth is a simple aircraft to fly, it is also a very old aircraft. It's over 90 years since the first one was produced, so the way some of the systems operate in this aircraft may be a bit unusual or something the modern pilot is not used to. With a fully customizable interior and exterior experience, this download represents great value for money. Low and slow stick and rudder flyers will be delighted with this great British classic from the hangars of de Havilland. Additionally, users can download high-quality repaints for free from SimOutHouse.com and FlightSim.to. So, fly as they flew in the 1940s or at a twist of modernization. It's completely up to the user. Personally, I think this is the best value for money add-on in the light aircraft category that Microsoft Flight Simulator has to offer so far, and priced at only $17.95. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please hit the subscribe and like icons below. Many thanks for watching. See you again soon.